Hey, this is Professor Harris, your history instructor for History 100, and this is your introductory video for Module 2. Hopefully you had time to finish up the discussion board for Module 1, as well as the activity for Module 1. You probably had some SNU classes in which you had a discussion board pretty much every week. That is not the case for this class. We won't have another discussion board until Module 5. Right? But that gives you plenty of time to finish up the two activities that we have for this week. So your two activities, one is on sources and one of them is on a research question. There's some great resources in Module 2 to help you with those two activities. All right. The first one you're going to do is on sources. Right? Think about primary sources, secondary sources, tertiary sources. Sorts of sources that you would find in a research project like what you are working on, right? You need to find one primary source and one secondary source. You're not going to be finding any tertiary sources, all right? Tertiary sources are things like dictionaries and encyclopedias. We're not going to be using those for this class, all right? But primary sources, secondary sources, yes. Remember the big difference between primary sources and secondary sources, right? Primary source is a source that's created during the time period you're studying. So for example, if you're studying the Civil War, all right, 1861 and 1865, a primary source would have been created during that time period. Anything afterwards is going to be a secondary source. Likewise for World War II, right? 1941 and 1945, a primary source was created during that time period. Anything afterwards is going to be a secondary source, all right? One pro tip on secondary sources, when you find one, look in the reference section, works cited section, just in case there's another one that you can use, all right? Your second activity is on generating a research question for your project. The instructions tell you to create a research question based on your chosen topic. I encourage you to generate that research question both on your topic and your event. Remember, you choose a topic and then you've got 3 possible events that you can choose, right? So write your research project on both the topic and your chosen event. Okay? Remember that a good research question is an open-ended question. All right, a closed-ended question is a question that can be answered with a simple yes or no or a number. That is not a good research question, all right? You want a research question that you actually could write multiple pages on, and that's an open-ended question. One thing about your research question, it's perfectly fine to revise it, all right, over the next couple weeks, all right? In fact, I would expect that, okay? Lastly, for discussion one, for Module 1, you all talked about some of the utilities of history, all right, why it might be useful. And I read some great ideas on that. My own kind of personal perspective on that is I like to mine the past for practices that might be able to be implemented to improve our future. So one example of that is direct democracy, a la ancient Greece. So ancient Greece of 2,500 years ago had a direct democracy. When this nation's framers, right, sat down to write the U.S. Constitution, they did not create a direct democracy, right? They created a representative democracy. So there are intermediaries, all right, between the citizenry, all right, and the government. And we all vote for a representative who then creates laws and votes on laws, all right? In ancient Greece, direct democracy, every citizen, all right, created law as well as voted on those laws. So there isn't any kind of intermediary. So I think direct democracy would be a great idea. Maybe not at the national level, but maybe at your local level, state, county, or city. So that's my tip. Looking forward to reading your Module 1 discussions as well as the activity. And have a good week.